Welcome to The Intuitive Therapist with Janice R. Cohen, therapist, clairvoyant, empath, and medium. Listen in as she takes a no-nonsense, deep dive into real human struggles and how to resolve them. Janice will share channeled information from her spirit guide team, as well as angels and archangels, to help you master your emotional, physical, financial, and spiritual destiny. And now, Janice R. Cohen.
Hey, y'all. This is Janice Cohen, the Intuitive Therapist, here on the Intuitive Therapist podcast. I am so dang excited about today's episode. And the reason I'm so excited about today's episode is because I'm having my first guest. Yes, my first guest. And y'all, this is not just the beginning of me having guests on my show. I want to make sure that you get to hear about the work that these amazing professionals that I know do and how they may be able to help you if you struggle with their specialty and if you want to learn more about exactly how they can help you. I'm going to be having episodes about astrology, Akashic records, love and relationships, trusting yourself, and more with amazing guests. So please stay tuned. Watch out for these episodes. And these guest appearances are going to be sprinkled into my podcast schedule. So keep a lookout for them. So today I have a really dear friend of mine named Jess Reidell. She is a love and life coach who completed her training with the Martha Beck Institute. Her ideal clients are twofold: aspiring entrepreneurs who are tired of the corporate grind, as well as women who are ready to redesign their life after divorce. She has a really great and popular Facebook group called Mystic Lemonade, so please check it out. Her membership is growing leaps and bounds every day, and she does a lot of really cool stuff there. So today, Jess is going to talk about love and relationships. And today's podcast is called Here's the One Thing That's Preventing You from Finding True Love. So if you're single and looking for love and wondering why Prince Charming or Princess Beauty hasn't shown up in your life, you might be doing the one thing that's blocking the love from your life from connecting with you. And in today's episode, I'm going to talk with Jess, the expert in love and life, about how to stop pushing love away. And she's going to help explain and tell y'all the real secret to creating and enjoying more love in your life. Hey, Jess, how are you?
Hey, Janice, I am great. And thank you for that glowing introduction. I am both flattered and honored to be your very first live guest. I've really been looking forward to this. So thank you.
Awesome. So glad you're here. So I want my listeners to get to know you. So just tell them a little bit about yourself, what you do professionally, and how you got started doing what you do. Just talk me through it.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Kind of had an epiphany a couple years back. It was on my 45th birthday, and it was February of 2016. And my husband kind of looked at me across the dinner table at my birthday dinner, and he said, "How does it feel to be halfway to 90?" And I'll tell you, that was at first I was a little miffed, I was like, how dare he insinuate that I'm old? And honestly, I think what he did not realize at that moment, Janice, is that was going to set into motion, just a set of circumstances and changes that was kind of like a domino effect in my life, because it really forced me to take an inventory of where I was in my life, and the fact that I was still working for other people and in the corporate grind myself, and feeling unfulfilled and feeling like there was so much energy being given and not enough being received. There was a major imbalance in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided in that moment that the only one that was responsible for this imbalance was me, and took really full responsibility for the trajectory of what was happening, and decided to make some changes. So I took my coaching course, and in picking a niche, I've always been just a very big proponent of love in general. I am a hopeless romantic. I believe I'm kind of old school, when it comes to chivalry and romance and just, I want the fairy tale, and the fairy tale can be yours if you're in the right mindset. So supporting people, with using, say, a tragedy like a divorce as a springboard to a juicier life, or supporting people that are in that same sort of moment where it's like, what is happening to my life? I am living the same boring ass year over and over again, as opposed to creating a life that I don't need a vacation from. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm curious, Jess, you have this amazing topic today, and loving, finding love in your life is, we all strive for that. So what prompted you, like in your life, what challenges did you go through? What kind of hurdles have you encountered to really be able to speak from a place of wisdom? And, what did you have to overcome to be able to bring all of this wisdom to your clients and the listeners today?
Wow. And that's kind of a deeper question. I actually, back in my 20s, I got married rather young and had kind of a really big heartbreak in my own life, Janice. When I was 20, I guess I got married at 26. And by 28, I was separated from my husband, and I had filed for divorce. And during that time, it was an unfortunate decision on my part, I guess, but I wasn't very loving to myself. And I spent a lot of time living in my head, coulda, woulda, shoulda, sort of reenacting conversations and, wondering what I could have done differently so that a certain set of circumstances didn't occur. So sort of fighting reality, essentially, which I think in our 20s, we don't know how to surrender and realize that our life unfolds and happens for us, not to us. And I spent some time in a kind of a dark place, and not being very loving to myself. And it was also a time of growth. I mean, I really did some soul searching and some reading, and got to know myself a little bit better, and realized that, lack of self-care and lack of self-love was sort of keeping me stuck in a loveless state. And I wasn't going to find what I was looking for until I became happy with myself and began sort of, projecting love from the inside out.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so I know we all bring with us our history and our experiences, and when we get older, we acquire all this wisdom, that we wish we knew when we were younger, but we know divine timing is at work, and we've all heard of the law of attraction, we've all heard of energy, we've all heard of where our focus where our energy, where our focus goes, energy goes, and how all of that plays into what we manifest and what we bring into our life. So I'm curious, talk to me about what is this thing that can actually block people from really getting what they want, especially love? I mean, I know so many people, I've struggled with it too, and I know all of my experiences in my relationships are purposeful, and I've learned one after the other about myself and all of my life lessons. But what is this thing that people don't know that they do, that they think they're trying to bring love in, but it actually pushes it away? What's the thing that they do that blocks love?
Yes, and Janice, it's so simple, but yet so complicated and sometimes difficult to really wrap our arms around this reality. But in the very act of looking for love, just even using that terminology, even using that phrasing that you're seeking love or you're trying to find love. I wrote an article a couple about a year ago, actually, for LinkedIn, and it was like, stop looking for love, because in the very act of seeking it, Janice, we're making it elusive, and we are creating a distance between the love that we so desperately desire by acting as though and behaving as if it is a commodity that is not abundant. And the fact of the matter is, love is ever flowing. Love is everywhere. love starts in your own heart with your own self-love, and love emanates from you. There's a quote that I'm really, really fond of that is, only the loving find love, and they never have to seek for it. And
So,
that's it.
sorry,
Go ahead. No, I just said that's a really huge gift when you think about it, because love has to start internally. And if we realize it's similar to money, Janice, like in some of the leadership summits that we've attended. In fact, the one that where you and I met, when we did that exercise about money, and that when we look at money as a scarce commodity and the fact that there's simply not enough of it to go around, we tend to invite the same energetic patterns and vibrational patterns around money that keep us between, that keeps money from us, if that makes sense.
Right. So one of the things that I know you and I have talked a lot about, and especially when you brought up that exercise that we did when we were working on, bringing in more abundance into our lives. One of the things that I know for sure, and like I said, you and I have talked about, is when you focus on what you don't have, you bring more of what you don't have into your life. And I know that people, I see them all the time, you see them all the time in your office, who really like all these thoughts about if you have love, if you are loved, if you love yourself, they're like, please, that is beautiful, and I can't get there. So what do we tell these people who feel like they're doing everything, and they're going out on these dating sites, and they're practicing their mantras, and they're putting all of this effort into all of these things that they feel like really aren't working for them? What's the shift they need to make to truly be in this space of allowing and receiving that doesn't sound so flowery?
That is a great question. And Janice, honestly, I believe the core, the kind of the secret portal to that is a real belief, because we can affirm ourselves all day long. But until we're able to really drop into our heart space and make this our reality, that the love does come from the inside out. If it sounds like a theory, if it sounds like flowery gobbledygook, of course, the ego and the mind are going to reject that. But if we are really able to sit quietly with our soul and allow this premise to just infiltrate our body and live from the space of being loving to ourselves, becoming love, figuring out, how we can walk through the world with love and be the most loving of all to both ourselves and everyone we come into contact with. I do a little activity in the supermarket where I'm simply just with my own thoughts, and I see people, and I meet their eyes, and they know that I see them, and I silently wish them love. And it is one of the most gratifying experiences to
That's
just be
beautiful.
wishing love to a stranger. And they can feel it. It creates an energetic vibration that is perceptible.
Beautiful. So without a doubt, coming from a place of love, being love, absolutely is a beautiful thing. And one of the things that I know for sure, especially when it comes to love and dating, no matter whether you're starting out the dating process or you're a seasoned woman or man, and you're back in the dating pool, it's very easy to over focus and focus on what's outside of you, as if focusing on the acts of dating or the mantras or the profile or this, that, and the other, that those things will bring in what you're looking for. And in reality, and I know you and I have talked about this too, is that if all you do is focus on you, if all you do is every day find joy, if all you do is have an exciting life, have a busy life, and date and just enjoy the experience of that without focusing on expectations, without focusing on outcomes, and just live, love will come. What do you think about that?
I think I'm 100% in agreement with you there. There's so much expectation. And once again, just in speaking about energy and vibrations and the law of attraction, when you come into a date with this air of need or frustration, like, oh my gosh, the last 5 dates I had were such a disaster. Like, what the heck is this guy going to bring to the table?
Right.
That, you're so jaded, but you're also still in that clutchy kind of desperate state. Like, I want love, I want love, I want love. And you're sitting at the table, having dinner or a cocktail or a coffee and emanating this air of need. And it's perceptible. And I think that's what some people don't understand is just coming from that place of need is something that any person, whether consciously or unconsciously, they can sniff it out. They feel it. They feel it in your presence.
Right.
And if we can make the shift, I'm going to tell you a little story here, because this is actually something that had really served me in just that perception of being able to be in a space and kind of emanate love or put out the message that you want to send on a subconscious level. So I'm going to tell you this story. So when I was going through my divorce in my late 20s, I was longing for touch. I was kind of lonely. Your hormones are racing at that age. And everything's happening. And just to be able to connect with people, I longed for connection. So I was an actor at the time, and, we were up late, having parties after shows and things of that nature. And I got in the habit of giving my friends hand massages, and just to be able to have that touch and have that connection. And I was at a party one night, and a real snarky girl kind of came over, and I was giving somebody a hand massage, and she kind of took me aside afterwards, and she goes, Jess, when you do that, everyone thinks you're hitting on them like that. And I kind of flipped the script on her, and I smiled for a moment. And I said, well, it's kind of one of my secrets. One of my secret strategies is I always assume that everyone's hitting on me. And that way I have a much better time. Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
So just shifting your energy and going into a date with, everybody wants me. And if this one doesn't, oh my gosh, we're on to the next, because the next one's going to want me even more.
So like a goddess attitude, really, a goddess or that kind of noble attitude, just really owning your worth.
Owning your worth and being okay in your own company, and being fine regardless of the outcome, where you're able to go with the flow. And if it isn't this one in front of me, I'm awesome. If he's not ready to pick up on all this great, good, lovey goodness, then wow, too bad for him. I'm on to the next.
Awesome. Awesome.
Just having a little more of a loose energy around it, and enjoying the process and the journey, and finding humor too. When the dates don't go well, oh my gosh, you have a great story to tell your girlfriends,
Right. So let me ask you, you've been working with women in different capacities. Tell me about some of the unique results you've helped your clients achieve with the work that you do around this topic.
Oh, that's a great question also. I'm actually thinking in particular of one client that I did a program with back last fall, and just a lovely, lovely person. But she really was able to take ownership of some of the ways in which she was pushing away love. And we even identified this in her basic language, because, she was in calling the online dating scene a jungle, and, saying there's just no good guys out there. They're all crazy. So these sweeping generalizations were her belief system. And you get what you look for in this life. So, if you want it to be a jungle, it's going to be a jungle. If you want it to be a ride at Six Flags, then let's shift our thinking and treat it like that,
Right.
So she was able to really take a look at the ways in which she was literally pushing love out of her life with the statements that she was making, the beliefs and attitudes that she had adopted. And in our work together, she actually had a moment in one of our sessions where I think we had been focusing on some inner work and we did a meditation, and she just said, I just had this awakening, this idea that really hit home, that I realized, and this is a truth, is that I somehow deep down feel as though I am unworthy of love.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually subconscious. I mean, we all think, oh, no, I'm worthy of love. I'm looking for it, right? I must be worthy. I must be deserving of it. It's all I think about. It's all I want. But if you, on some level, don't feel worthy of love, there is just no possible way you're going to call it in the way that you really want it to be a part of you.
Right.
You know, if you feel like you're unworthy of love.
Right. So what, if you could say that there's one of the most important things that you want listeners to know about why it would be important for them to seek your services, what would you tell them?
You know, anyone who works with me is going to come out on the other side knowing themselves that much better and having some of the tools and skills to really manage their own thoughts around, you know, they say really what causes us pain and suffering and stress, Janice, and you probably know this as a therapist, it's not so much the circumstances, it's our thoughts around the circumstances, our thoughts and beliefs that plague us, you know, the conversations that we have in our heads that never happen, that you know, that are based on fear. And, you know, coming from a place of where you're constantly in a state of being fearful about the future or regretful about the past, you can never be at peace in the present. And on my journey, I've had to learn to work with some of my own thoughts and my own limiting beliefs around, gosh, love, money, and everything else. And coming out on the other side, having done the work and having a newfound perspective where it's my belief that all thoughts that separate you from joy are lies. And we can train our minds. We can readjust those neural pathways in our brains to choose happiness. And happiness is an inside job, just like love and abundance are. It's all the same.
So there really is hope for people who feel downtrodden and just really do want love. It's almost, it sounds so simple, but it is a really big challenge to refocus on self. Notice how you show up. Notice the thoughts that you have and the feelings that they induce. Notice the energy that you bring to any situation. You know, dating actually can be pretty cool and fun if you don't attach an outcome to it. And if you are attaching an outcome to it, that is when you got to seek Jess out, because she is going to help you truly hone in on why it's so difficult for you to not be free and just enjoy and be in the present. So that's one of the things I get so excited to tell people about the work that you do. So before we do something fun, tell me how, and the listeners, how they can get in touch with you.
Oh, okay, great. Well, I do have, let's see, you can definitely check out my website. That just recently went live. It's Ageless Jess, agelessjess.com. AGELESSJESS.com. I just got my first troll.
Awesome.
My website went live 2 weeks ago, and I had someone reach out and say, you know, glad you're doing this work, but I don't need a life coach because my life is wonderful, which I thought was very funny.
Beautiful.
Yeah. They can also reach me at Jess at JessReidellCoaching.com. And I'll be happy to get on a call with anybody that reaches out via email or on the website. And yeah, I would love to chat with anyone listening to this podcast that really kind of wants to do that deep inner work that's going to create lasting growth and spiritual change and a shift in thinking. Because as we mentioned earlier, it's all about belief. We can affirm all day long, but if we don't believe the affirmation we're saying, it's worthless.
Beautiful. So I want to close this with something that I love to do with people who are guests on my show. It comes from, I don't know, listeners, if you've ever heard of Inside the Actor's Studio, but these questions, like I love that show because James Lipton is just so cool and he asks the coolest questions. And at the end of every episode, he asks his guest, all these famous actors, these questions. And so my guests don't know which questions I'm about to ask them, but really it's kind of a rapid fire. I ask you the question, Jess, and you just answer with the first thing that pops into your mind, saying whatever it is that comes. And then
fun.
we'll come to a
It's
close.
like improv.
Okay. So Jess, what's your favorite word?
Trajectory.
What's your least favorite word?
Dirt.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, and emotionally?
Magic.
What turns you off?
Negativity.
What's your favorite curse word?
Can I say it here?
You so can. Yes.
Oh, it's fuck.
Right.
Yeah.
What sound or noise do you love?
The sound of my dog crunching her dog food. It's the sweetest sound.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Nails on a chalkboard.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I'd love to become a narrator of audiobooks.
What profession would you not like to do?
Accounting.
If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You did good.
Wonderful. Well, Jess, I have to say thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to be with me and to be with us. The work that you do is so important, and the more people you can help to realign their energy and be present and enjoy life, like the better the world can be, and the more love that there can be, and the more great relationships there can be. So I hope everybody has enjoyed today's episode with Jess Reidell, Love and Life Coach, all about really understanding the one thing that you can do to bring love into your life. And if you've liked this episode, please just hop over to iTunes, just rate and review my podcast, leaving just a few sentences. I would love that. It would really boost the ratings, and really more people would be able to find me. And again, if you'd like a reading on anything, just reach out to me at 404-558-3971 or email at janice@janicesrcohen.com. As always, I wish you a blessed day, a wonderful week, and always live intuitively.
Thanks for listening to The Intuitive Therapist with Janice R. Cohen. If you like what you heard, the best compliment you can give us is to share this podcast with a friend and subscribe, rate, and review at iTunes.